at Angel Tiny Tot. Her tongue is hanging out. Sometimes it hangs out for so long it turns blue or it dries out, so I have to poke it. She don't like her tongue touched. I love you, Tootie. Mama's little Tiny Tot. Love you. Well, hi, YouTube family. It's been a long time, hasn't it? Here it is, almost Christmas time. And I did try to update y'all in the community, in my community tab, kind of what was going on. So I will kind of let you know. Most of y'all who follow me know who Angel Tiny Tot is. Angel Tiny Tot turned 17 years old this month, like just around the first part of December. Angel Tiny Tot was a miniature Yorkie, and she came to me like 2 years ago. 2 years ago, her human passed away. Her human died, and I got a call from the rescue, and they said, "Hey, Candace, we have a senior Yorkie that needs a home." And they sent me a picture, and bless her heart, she looked pitiful. So I went and got Angel, and then I called her Angel Tiny Tot. It's really kind of a beautiful story. And in a sense it is, although Angel Tiny Tot now is at the Rainbow Bridge with her, I'd like to think, her first human. The year before I got the call to pick up Angel Tiny Tot, my Yorkie, she was 15 years old. She was my kid's Yorkie, and we had gotten her when they were young. Well, now they're both close to 30, my kids are. Well, Cheeto was her name, and she got really bad sick. And Cheeto and Zoe, which I still have Zoe. Zoe's right here. She's a big old chubby chihuahua. But Cheeto and Zoe, when I got a divorce, I took them. And so they just have been my family. The ex didn't want them, which was fine. I used to travel and do courier work and travel around the state. I would take Cheeto with me. Cheeto was just one of them dogs that she would just love to ride. Well, anyways, Cheeto got sick the week of Christmas 3 years ago. So when she got sick, I took her to the vet. I pretty much knew she was, you know, it was it. So the doctor, he would give her fluids every day, and he said, just bring her back in the morning before you head off to work. And I'd say, okay. So we did that for about a week. And finally on Christmas Eve, after I had talked to my kids, again, they're adults, and I said, look, I can't put any more money into this dog. She's not going to get any better. They were giving her fluids and stuff every day. And I said, she's actively dying, basically. And so my kids and I, which again, they're adults, one lives in another state and one lives a couple of hours from me. You know, we came to the conclusion that I was going to, you know, have to have her put down. And so I did, and I held her, and it was hard. But anyways, that was the story of Cheeto. So we fast forward to a year, the next year, and like I said, it was on Christmas Eve, and I had to put my dog to sleep on Christmas Eve, then jump in my car and go to work because I was a medical courier, and I was the only person on call that day. Nobody else was on call. So my dispatcher called me, and I was crying, and she goes, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" And I told her, and I said, well, I had to put Cheeto down, and she felt horrible because there was nobody else to do the job. I had to go do it. So anyways, I went to work that day. Well, again, fast forward 2 years ago, again, they called me and they said, Candace, we have a senior Yorkie. Her mama just died. So her human. And so I said, okay, I'll take her. And it was, like I said, it was at least a year to the date that I had lost Cheeto, my kid's Yorkie. So I picked her up, and she was just pitiful. She needed a haircut. Anyways, when I picked her up, I said, what is her name? And they said, Angel. And I went, holy cow. Holy Cheeto. I don't know. Her name was Angel, and I had received her about the same time that I had put my Yorkie to sleep the year before on Christmas Eve. And it was such, you know, my heart was broken because I was missing not only my kids, but their childhood dog. So Angel came into my life, and Angel's been a part of my life for the last 2 years. And Angel healed me, and I like to think that I healed her, because I really did not think she would live very long after she lost her human, because she was an older lady, I guess much older than me. And I actually took her to the vet where this lady had taken her for the last 15 years. I said she was crazy about that dog. She did everything for her. Anyways, so they were glad to see her because they didn't know what had happened to her. They heard that the lady had passed. So anyways, Angel Tiny Tot came into my life. Again, her name was Angel, and I laughed because I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. You know, I just put my Yorkie to sleep the year before. So I named her Angel Tiny Tot, and I called her Tiny. I called her all kinds of names. I called her Tiny, called her Tootie, called her Tot. I mean, she was just, I really felt in my heart, and I could tell that Angel Tiny Tot was making the transition. She wasn't in any pain, but she was sleeping a lot. And I've had so many animals, and like I tell y'all, I have fostered over 40 animals, 40 dogs in my home. And I don't foster as much as I used to, but because I kind of took a break since I had 4 dogs of my own. So Angel was transitioning. I could tell, you know, she was slowing down. She was having a hard time standing up. Her little legs would give out from under. You'd take her to the groomer, and the groomer said, I have to have somebody hold her up because she can't stand up to be groomed. I said, that's fine. I totally get it. And so anyways, I could tell she, you know, and I had told my coworker, I said, you know, I think she's making the transition. And she did not want me out of her sight. I mean, she wanted me to hold her constantly. She slept right here by my head. I mean, every night she slept right here. And she wanted to touch me. She wanted to feel me. She didn't care. And before that, she was always pretty independent. You know, she liked sleeping by herself. But every now and then she'd get a little insecure, and she would want to feel just a human. Hoping that she would just pass it home in my arms, or I would put her to bed every night next to me, and I'd say, okay, you know, Angel, I love you. I know you're tired, and you've got your other human mama is over there waiting on you. So if you're tired and you're ready to go, then you need to go, okay? And she would just look up at me, and I would cry because, you know, it's hard to tell somebody to go on, especially a dog. So the funny thing about Angel Tiny Tot, the morning that I had to take her to the vet, she was still getting up. I had to pick her up, but she was still getting up and going to the potty pad. I mean, she would walk to the potty pad, what little she could, and she would walk and she would go pee-pee on the potty pad, or she would even go poop. And so I was thinking, my gosh, and she was drinking excessively. But the only thing I could get her to eat would be a little bit of beef broth. And that's all I could get her to eat. She pretty much the first of the week, she had lost her sense of eating. By Wednesday, I was up with her every night. This week, Sunday, or last week. From Sunday to Thursday night, I was up with her every night. She was very restless, very uncomfortable, moving around, and I just stayed with her. I did not want her to die alone, and I sure didn't want her to die in a vet's office. So I held on to her as long as I could, and you know, I kept thinking if she could just go to sleep, she fought it. She fought it. Fought it. So anyways, that Thursday I had went by the vet and I had talked to them, and I said, look, I told them about Tiny Tot, and they were like, well, just bring her whenever, you know, you're comfortable and you're ready. And so that morning, the next morning on last Friday, I woke up and I had texted my boss, and I said, look, you know, I think I'm going to run her by there because I don't want to go through the weekend. I really didn't, she wasn't in any pain, but you could tell she was fighting it. So that morning I wrapped her up in a little blanket, her favorite blanket, her little cheetah blanket. I thought it was right down here, but I wrapped her up in it, and I took her. She normally never went out the front door, so I could tell she was just really thinking, what the heck? I never go out this way. So I took her out there and I held her, which I'm not very far from the vet. I held her all the way to the vet, and I tried to cover her face up, and she's under there. Well, by that time, one of her eyes was completely whited over. She had cataracts, so it was like completely white. And so I got her there, and I have a picture of her, and if I think about it, I'll put it on here. But she looked so bad. And so I walked in there and I told them, I said, look, I was here yesterday. This is my Yorkie. She's 17. And they were like, okay. Well, I'm sitting there holding her and I'm talking to her, you know. Well, suddenly she becomes very still. I mean, is not moving. And I'm checking in, and she's trying to figure out what to charge me. And finally I said, look, I think she's already gone. And she goes, oh my gosh, I don't want to charge you for, you know, euthanasia and all that. And I said, just get me in a room. So they got me in a room, which ironically, it was the same room 3 years ago on Christmas Eve that I was sitting in with my other Yorkie. And so I'm thinking, oh my gosh. So they came in, they examined Angel Tiny Tot, and the girl told me, I think she was a vet, and she goes, look, she's not in pain. I said, yes, I know that. I know she's not in pain. I mean, I know enough about it. And she said she's not in pain, but she said, I think if we just give her something to relax her, that she will go on her own because she's that close. And I said, well, I would rather do that because I want to hold her. And so I did. She gave her a shot just to relax her. And I sit there and she kind of would look up at me every now and then. And then she put her head down and I just sat there and held her and petted her. And I said, I love you, Angel Tiny Tot, but I know you're tired and you need to go. Okay. And it's hard. It's hard to tell your pets. I actually can tell this story without crying, and it's not been easy. So anyways, they came in and they checked her again, and they said, we're going to give her one more shot. And I said, that's fine. They gave her another shot. It wasn't the euthanasia. It wasn't the one that would stop her heart or anything. They gave her another shot, and I held her for a little bit, and I remember looking down, and I can kind of remember her just kind of, and that was it. And she was gone. And so the vet came in there and he said, well, let me check her. And I said, okay. So I picked her up. Of course, like this whole time I'm holding her and I pick her up and I lay her on the table and he said, she's gone. He checked her and I said, I knew she was. But they were so gracious and they let me stay in there and hold her as long as I wanted to. And I did, and I held her, and then the little assistant went and got some scissors because I wanted to cut her ponytail off because I had let her ponytail grow since I got her. So for 2 years, her hair was like really high. So anyways, I know this is kind of a depressing story, and I'm not trying to make anybody sad or anything. My heart is very full. I am heartbroken, and I have Angel Tiny Tot right here. She was cremated, and of course, when she came to me, her name was Angel, and I added the Tiny Tot because that's what I called her, Angel Tiny Tot. And that's how y'all know her. And if you look, I have some videos. There's probably some videos of her in it. But there's the top of her. That's her little cremation box. Anyways, so yeah, they called me today and I went and picked her up. So she got to come home for Christmas. Anyways, my heart is broken, but I'm also very relieved. She was miserable and she was making that transition, and she was a fighter. And I really honestly think, and I tell people this, that I think she was just trying to hang on for me. I think she thought she was taking care of me. In a sense, she was. But of course, y'all know I have 3 other dogs. I have 3 Chihuahuas. And Birdie Bot came to me in August as a foster, and she's still here. So I don't know if she's going to go anywhere. So I'm sad. I really am. I miss her because I didn't realize how much I did for her because she was a little senior citizen. I mean, I had to pick her up. I had to put her in the bed. I had to put her on the potty pad. I did everything for her. And I told my coworker, she said, how are you doing? And I said, I didn't realize how much I'd done for that dog until now that she's gone because I don't know what I'm doing now. That's what happened. She did not have to be actually euthanized. She was given 2 shots just to relax, and she was close. And the reason I went ahead and took her, that she passed in my arms. I can still remember her kind of looking up at me, whether she could see me or not, I don't know, but I remember her looking up at me, and I told her it was time. And so there are some religions that don't believe that animals go to heaven, but I like to think that she made it to the Rainbow Bridge, and she made it to her first human. And as sad as I am and how much I miss her, as much as I miss her, my sweet girl, I miss her, but I hope that she's resting in the arms of her first human. It's the only thing that really brings me any joy. So I think to myself, I said, this is kind of a sad Christmas, but in a sense, it's kind of, she gave me the best Christmas present. She came to me at a time when I needed her, and she needed me, and we were good for each other, and we were a good team. And she was a grumpy little girl sometimes, but if you were 17 years old and this high off the ground and you had little bitty legs, and and all you lived to do was eat, drink, and poop and sleep in my bed, then she had a good life, and I'm gonna miss her. But like I said, today they called me and they had her cremains done. And so at first I wasn't gonna cremate her. I was just gonna bury her in my yard. But I had Cheeto cremated, and I kind of felt like that I needed to have her because she will sit next to Cheeto, because even though they never knew each other, both played a part in mending my heart. And just, it's like I said, Cheeto went through it when I went through my divorce, and she was my close friend, and then she was my kid's dog. And then of course Angel Tiny Tot came the year after Cheeto left. Same time, same week. And then 2 years later, Cheeto passed away on Christmas Eve, and Angel Tiny died December 20th, 2024. So I don't know what else to say. I'm blessed and I'm sad at the same time. I've missed you. I appreciate all the great comments and the sweetest comments and the prayers. Oh my gosh, I feel them. I know that people have been praying, but I'm good. I'm good. I am blessed and I'm happy and I'm sad at all at the same time. So again, thanks to everyone who has been sending prayers up for Angel Tiny Tot. She was a true blessing, and I think she kind of had a following on here. So anyways, thanks y'all.